The Gem Inside, a program sponsored by the Rotary Club of Ellerslie Sunrise Incorporated. Hello, I'm Leighton Smith. As a father, I know how hard parenting can be, especially in today's modern society. So I'd like to introduce you to something that I've used with my family and that I hope you might find greatly useful for yours. The Gem of the First Water is the first book in a series written by family therapist Phillips. The stories are based on the adventures of a boy in a mythical land whose encounters mirror the struggles and questions that most adolescents face. Accompanying the book is a journey guide for parents to help facilitate discussion with their children and to assist them to ask questions that may be harder to openly discuss without using the boy in the story as a springboard. Themes such as honesty, peer pressure, making good choices, controlling anger, and using thoughtfulness, respect and integrity are just some of the issues that the book addresses. The book and the journey guide are also available in audio CD format for families who prefer to listen to the story together rather than read the books. This truly is a special resource and one that all families can use. To explain some of their own experiences using the book, here are some families who have had some very positive results.
Are you more like the boy at the beginning of the rainbow, or do you think you're like the boy at the end of the rainbow?
A bit of both.
I think that's a pretty cool answer, isn't it?
Very good.
Yeah.
The book is about a family that aren't working as well as they could be and haven't got full respect for each other. And the boy, it focuses on the boy and how he's dealing with that. And then he goes on a kind of magical journey and goes through learnings on the journey. But each chapter it works on a couple of levels. It's a fun story to read, and there's a message in each chapter.
It talks about thinking before you act and before you actually open your mouth, making sure that you're going to say something that's not going to hurt anybody else or it's going to be appropriate.
Making right choices, knowing the consequences of the choices that you make. At the end of the day, it comes down to, just being truthful, eh?
I think a number of challenges that the boy goes through are very much cross-cultural. They're very, very generic in some ways, and anybody can identify with that. And as they came over the grassy knoll, it appeared as though the rainbow was touching the ground.
It opens up like a new channel of communication with the kids, and they realize that, parents are reading this, so parents might realize that we ourselves could be going through this process, so they are looking at it from our viewpoint. Remember that whatever you have, you've got to express it and be thankful about it.
And it also helps to remind yourself that yes, I'm thankful of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For a parent taking their children through this journey, it involves commitment on their part. Learning the material, because the material it's a very simple story, but it's saturated with all kinds of principles. And this will allow a parent to equip their children with issues of life, with strategies to deal with the struggles and the dilemmas of life.
So Trish did a really good job of making it an event. So we picked a night and made a time, and at that time we sat down together and worked through the book.
What did we do last week? Oh, we did the quicksands last week, didn't we? And that was fun, wasn't it? About the boy getting stuck.
You're making time for the family, you're showing commitment, you're seeing through an exercise. So even that in itself is a really good thing to do as a family.
We've tried to use it pretty much once a week. What we've tried to do is just, as a family, read the story. Yusuf and myself have taken turns to read to the boys.
Being thankful gives value to people, place and things.
Prior to just introducing the story, what we've done is we've discussed it among ourselves and looked at the guide questions and familiarised ourselves with the story so that it flows.
I think adults get
More of a kick, eh?
a lot out of the book itself,
Yeah.
because it was 6 or 7 years ago that I actually read this, and you can apply it so much more to the life that you've already had, but also to where you're going.
I read it from cover to cover, and I just fell in love with it, eh?
This is a way of putting it on a table where a kid will pick it up, think about it, because they identify with this boy, they internalize what's going on, and then they redirect their own behavior, not because they've been told, but because they choose to do it, because it's a better choice, and it helped them get where they want to go.
It's about a selfish boy that learns his lesson and if you're like selfish, then it will help you not to be selfish.
It teaches you why to respect other people, and people come before yourself, and not always to be angry. Be happy for once. Be positive.
Act the opposite of how you feel. Say if you were angry, you'd, act happy and stuff like that.
It teaches you lessons, and then you live it for your whole life.
I think it's been great for our family to do together.
Each chapter has a guide that goes and it highlights the themes, the questions to bring the principles and the themes alive, and then it has interesting points that you can bring in during that chapter.
How do you think we know when you're thankful for something?
If you say thank you.
Oh, good girl.
The guide is good because if you're getting stuck in some of the stories, then it's possible to do that because the story just takes over you. And it kind of gets you thinking, okay, what about this aspect of it? And that ensures that you've covered all the areas, much beyond what you were able to just think. Do you think that sometimes it's easy to forget the things we're thankful for? Especially when you want the new PlayStation game and I have to say no to you?
I found the guide really, really good. It's got really good questions in it that's based on the story that you've read with the children. And you can't go wrong with asking them those questions.
Every parent knows about values and about passing them on, but it's hard to think of them all in one go. Oh, so the waiting's part of life, isn't it? So the idea is to enjoy the wait and to make sure that you have fun while you're doing the waiting, because we've all got to wait for everything. It's part of life, isn't it?
It talks about thinking before you act and before you actually open your mouth, making sure that you're going to say something that's not going to hurt anybody else or it's going to be appropriate.
Making right choices, knowing the consequences of the choices that you make,
I think it's a learning curve for us too, to realize and think before we act, or react before we do anything. Take a deep breath and just making sure that along the process we don't lose it ourselves.
The other thing I try and do that I've found on a personal level is let things go. And that's big in the book. They talk about anger a lot and that you can't move on unless you let it go. Deal with it, let it go and move on. And I've, on a personal level, really worked hard at that.
What we'd like is to be there for them. And I think this is going to, make them feel comfortable if they have any issues along in their years, that they can have somebody to talk to and come back and they'll know that they'll get an honest guidance, feedback, or help them through that process.
It provides a method of communication, and part of it is it's a test for the parents to show that they're willing to go down this path, to do something and to see it through.
Kanan had the potential to make silly choices, but luckily I think he's taken on what's been read to him in the book, and he does now think before he acts, whereas once upon a time he probably wouldn't have done that. It doesn't matter whether the children have problems or could have problems. I think it helps just growing up and helping them to make those decisions.
Yeah.
They don't have to be problem children.
It's a journey of well-being for people. I believe it's a journey every family should take.